Hello and welcome to the March episode of the Reading Roundup, where I round up the 8 books that I read last month. These aren't in any particular order. I just have them the way I wrote them down in my phone and then the way I wrote them down on my script. I've already covered one of them in my last video because I technically read it in February. I just finished it at like 10 a.m. on March 1st, and that was The Wild Dark Shore. I didn't like it. I'm pretty sure I gave it a 1 star. It was boring and horny, and not even like a fun horny, just horny. Number 2 on my list, I have the Doula book. I am currently working towards certification for DONA, which is the International Doula Group, and one of the books I have to read is the Doula book, and I didn't care for it. I gave it 3 stars. It was fine. It is largely geared towards pregnant women, pregnant couples, and not really helpful for my point of view. It was largely repetitive. It repeats the same sort of talking points, which is great if you were trying to sell the concept of a doula. It was not informative to me. I also found that repeatedly it made it seem like in order to be a successful doula, you have to be older, which as someone who is 30, that's kind of a bummer. And you have to like intrinsically just know what women need in labor, which to an extent you kind of do. I've experienced 3 labors now, and I just, it's daunting. It's a little, it makes it seem like you gotta be Superwoman, and that's kind of hard to come to terms with as a brand new itty bitty baby doula. Next up is one that I actually started in January and took me a very long time to read. I had to re-up my library loan twice. It was Epic Earth by Lindsay, Nikole, fellow YouTuber. It was fine. I gave it 3 stars. I really like her. I listen to her stuff a lot, and that might have been part of the problem. I've listened to her History of Life on Earth That We Know Of series probably 3 or 4 times in the last year or two, and I guess last year. And I enjoy listening to her talk, and it's the almost exact same information without the jokes, without the punchlines, without the little quips. And it's just, it comes off kind of dry. And there was also an issue of she would describe this, heinous creature and then not provide a photo. And it was just like, okay, I know you provide photos for these in your video. And there's even like her favorite one, as a Paratherium, the big old tall sumbitch, and no picture of that. So that was just a little disappointing. I liked it. I would imagine she'll do another one for the History of Us, which is about human evolution, and I'll read that too. But I was just a little whelmed. The Blighted Stars by Meghan O'Keefe. I actually read this last year, and I suggested it as my book club pick because it has, I think, some interesting conversation points. It is about an expedition to go find a mining substance called relkatite, and shit goes sideways. I really enjoyed it. This is a world in which bodies can be printed with these things called pathways, which are relkatite that go down, and they can like enhance strength and help healing and things like that. It's really good sci-fi. It's really good mushroom horror. I have not been having a great time with mushroom horror over the last year. Oh, hello. The husband came in. But I haven't been having a great time with mushroom horror. I did not like Mexican Gothic, and Grave Matters was fine. But this is good mushroom horror, fungus horror. It's got some great body horror. It's got some good action. I really enjoyed it. 5 stars. Next up is Wool, which is part of the Silo series. And I got interested in that from a clip I saw on YouTube from the show, and it was fine. I gave it 3 stars. I didn't really find myself caring about anyone. Nobody really stuck out to me. The action was okay. It was just kind of fine. The concept's interesting, but it also, we just watched Fallout recently, and even though this came out first, it's not its fault. It just really reminded me of Fallout. And I'm kind of fatigued of that concept of, we have this group of people all like breeding within this group and we're trying to save humanity. It's basically very Noah's Ark. but like, we're not going to tell anybody and it's evil for some reason. I just kind of fatigued with that idea. The Midwife, which is the basis of Call the Midwife, the show, which I kept seeing clips on YouTube. And so I was really interested. And once I found out there was a book, I was like, oh, let's read that. Because the show is long. It's about 15 seasons now, I think. And I wanted to go ahead and try the book first. I liked it. I gave it 4 stars out of 5. It's an interesting look into the Cockneys, the Poplar, I assume that's how it's pronounced, Poplar, area of London in the 50s. The accents were really fun to read. She writes the accents into the book. Jenny was incredibly judgy. There's also some, fat is grotesque, that kind of thing. There's a lot of judgment about people's living conditions. There's a lot of judgment about, like, for example, one woman she's pregnant and ends up having syphilis. And she is just disgusted with this woman. And honestly, with what I know of that lifestyle of that time period, I wouldn't be thinking, oh, this woman's just, stroking everything that can move, and that's how she got syphilis. I would assume her husband gave her that by running around on her, and that ended up being what it was. And it's just little judgments like that, which are human and natural, but not really what I want to be hearing from my medical professionals. But I enjoyed it overall. Another one that I found because I saw videos of it on YouTube, Lessons in Chemistry, 1 star. 1 big fat star. If I could give it 0, I would have. But it was dumb. It was dumb. I was expecting a silly, goofy time based on like the laugh out loud, funny, and the like quirky imagery on the cover. There's a very graphic rape within the first 5% of the book. She is incredibly annoying. Elizabeth is incredibly annoying. Nothing to do with the rape per se, but she's the most logical lady to ever logic. So she's the most perfect mother. She's the perfect cook. She knows everything about food, chemistry, physics, history, child development. It doesn't make any sense. But she's also dumb as a box of rocks when it comes to how her opinions and how her views and like her actions affect other people. Her being nasty to her boss, her being nasty to her boyfriend, and how it affects others. I understand she's the moral fiber of the most SJW person in the world in these days and age, but I just feel like there's too many right opinions that this singular person had in the 50s and 60s for it to be even remotely realistic. And of course, she's so sexy and dropped it gorgeous without even trying. And it was corny. One that I finished most recently, Shadow of the Workhouse, which is the 2nd book in the Midwife series. I will not be continuing this series based on how the 2nd one was. There was nary a birth to be found in the Midwife book. Not a single birth. There was, however, incest, theft, and graphic depictions of war. None of which I really signed up for. It follows 3 stories, one of the nuns. If you don't know, this woman works as part of a group of nuns that are midwives. That's really cool. But one of the nuns is a kleptomaniac. And so she gets arrested, and that sucks. She's also like in her 90s, and maybe not all there. And so it covers that. It covers a brother and sister who were separated as kids and then came back together as tweens and then had an incestuous relationship until he died of cancer, and then she killed herself that day because she couldn't live without him, which is sweet, but also brother-sister. Not my thing. And then the last one was a very graphic depiction of war that was existing, or this would have been, World War I? Maybe before that? I honestly don't know. And again, no births in the midwife's books, but maybe that's just my expectation, my assumption that there would be births in the midwife book. So those are the 8 books that I read in March. Grand total for stars was 2.75. That's a doozy. It also brought my total for the year to pi 3.14. Yikesy. I'm a pretty generous rater. So the fact that there were so many doozies is a bummer. But hopefully that'll get better. Currently I am working on The Art of Legend. I already know it'll be a 5-star. So far I really like it. That is by Wesley Chu. It's the War Art series if you were interested. There's the cover. It's not coming through, but it's so good. I'm 63% through it. Next, I'm going to do Apparently Sir Cameron Needs to Die, Masters of Death, The Midwife, Demon Copperhead. I've also got... Hold. All My Friends Are Superheroes, Orbital, and Winterworld on deck. So I'm pretty stacked up for the month of April, whether or not I'll get there. I'm also reading Same-Sex Couples Guide to Parenthood. Journey to Parenthood, which is again for my doula training. And I think that is currently it. I'm really excited for these ones that are coming up. So cheers to April and see ya.